Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry for like the weird lighting. It is very late at night. It is 9, so I just got my kids down to bed, and Johnathan is in his swing. He should wake up any minute to eat. So I want to make this a little bit quick. I wanted to give you guys an update on how the baby's doing. I know I haven't updated in a while. I think the last update I did was when we had the scary blood work done, and we ended up going back again and doing more blood work, and it just turns out that it was fine. It was just like a weird protein, and you know, it was just the way that he just was, you know. Like there was nothing wrong mentally, or you know, there was nothing wrong with him. It's just the amount of hormones and proteins and everything else that was in my system. But he ended up being completely healthy. I wanted to kind of touch base on my C-section, because I know when I was looking for like third time C-section video, I found a couple of them, so I kind of just want to contribute to that. And yeah, so my repeat C-section was scheduled for December 19th, and it was supposed to be at 2, I believe, or I'm sorry, at 11. So I had to be there like around 8, and yeah, everything was going good. I got there like around 8. My C-section got pushed back. I think it was 1:30 or something p.m. Around that time I went in, and I was really nervous about the third C-section. I don't know, I just had like an off feeling like throughout the whole pregnancy that something was gonna go wrong, because well, I don't know, I felt really on edge about the C-section, and I ended up like wanting to meet the doctor who was performing my C-section weeks before that actually happened. And it turned out that he wasn't even the one that was doing the C-section, because it's a teaching hospital, so somebody else was doing it, but he was right there supervising it. And so I would go in for my C-section. They have trouble finding like the spot where to put my epidural, because I've had an accident my senior year in high school. It was back in 2013, I'm gonna say, or yeah, 2013 I believe, or 2012, around that time. And I ended up having bulge discs and herniated discs, and then I'm guessing that played a role into you know, my C-section, like the epidural part, so it was kind of rough. I was there for like 30 minutes. They had to do like an ultrasound on my back to try and see if they can find it. Meanwhile, my husband was like in our room, all gowned up, just waiting for the doctor to bring him back. And he told me he was very nervous because I was taking so long. He's not here right now. He's working, so he has like a weird working schedule. And I just figured, why not just, you know, make this video, otherwise it's never gonna get uploaded. So yeah, it took a while for them to you know, numb me up. Yeah, it was very painful. I felt bad because the guy that I was holding hands with, I was like squeezing the hell out of his hands, so I apologized to him multiple times. So once they were able to put the anesthesia, well, the blocker, spine blocker, I forget what it was called, the thing to numb me up, the C-section started. It took a while because obviously I had 2 previous C-sections, an emergency C-section and then a regular routine scheduled C-section. So there was a lot of scar tissue, I am assuming, because it took forever for them to like cut it and, you know, whatnot. But it was fine because I was like, well, they're going slow, so I know that they're doing a good job. When they got to the baby, they told me that well, they didn't tell me anything. They were talking to one another, saying that the baby was in a weird position and they couldn't get him out. This is where things started to go wrong. Well, in my eyes. Now, they were like pushing on my stomach. They were getting really anxious because they couldn't get the baby out. There wasn't enough space to push the baby out, plus he was in a weird position, and they ended up having to use the vacuum suction thing on him, and he was left with a big bruise. And unfortunately they were not able to get him out even with the suction, so they had to push him out. Like, there was a doctor actively on top of me trying to squeeze him out, and at that point I was just terrified. All the beepers, that's the one thing that I keep remembering. All of their pagers were going off, every single one of them, because they were trying to call for the pediatrician that was on call, because once they got the baby out, they wanted somebody to check him, assess him, and see if he was doing good. So everybody's pagers was going off. More people ended up coming to the room. They couldn't get the baby out. It was just hectic. I was panicking. My husband was freaking out. Meanwhile, I couldn't feel, I couldn't move. I legit couldn't move. Like, if I could move, I would have went in there and grabbed them out, because at that time it was like a bunch of, I think it was like 7 minutes had passed, and that was the time that the doctor said the baby can't be inside me anymore because it is dangerous for both me and the baby. So they ended up pushing, and finally he came out. When the baby came out, he wasn't crying. I was worried. I was asking my husband to go check on him. At that time, he was telling me that everything was good, don't worry, and I was panicking, mainly because I could not hear him cry. And if you're a mom, and you know, that's the thing that you want to hear, him cry, to know that his lungs are okay. Finally, there was like a little cry, and then they told me that he was having some breathing issues because he came out like weird, I guess. There was like he was there for a long time, so you know, it was very complicated. They ended up taking him to the NICU to get him you know, monitored. I told my husband to go with him. He did not want to leave my side because at that time they were like working on me, and I guess he felt like he needed to stay with me, but I told him go with the baby, so he ended up going. And then the feeding counselors came in the room because I was, you know, the baby left, and the first thing they do is put him on your chest and whatnot. But obviously I had a C-section, so they were like, do you want us to help you express so we can get something to the baby in the NICU? And I was like, sure, that's fine. Meanwhile, the doctors were starting to assess the issues with me. What they ended up doing was they did a regular C-section, but then they ended up making a T-incision in my uterus, meaning that there's like a vertical line and then a horizontal line, thus making it, you know, a little bit more complicated. It takes a longer time to like suture. So they were doing that, and it felt like it took hours, and I was scared out of my mind, mainly for the baby, and I was, you know, making sure that I knew what was happening. I ended up asking the nurses that were there to call the NICU to see what was happening, and the baby was assessed, and they said the baby is doing fine. He can breathe on his own now. They ended up coming back into the C-section room, and then they stitched me up. It took forever, but my husband and baby were next to me while that was happening. And I was really relieved that, you know, the baby came out okay. And the main problem was now just suturing me up and making sure that, you know, everything was good with me, because that was such a scary and traumatic C-section that, you know, nobody was prepared for it. We all thought that the baby was just gonna be right there, and he moved at the last minute, I'm assuming, because, you know, he wasn't like that in that position earlier, because they did an ultrasound and he was fine. So I'm guessing he just moved, or he was, you know, I don't know what he was doing, but he moved in a way that it was harder for the doctors to reach him. So that was basically what happened with my third C-section. I definitely do not want any more. I am not trying to get pregnant. I have Nexplanon as birth control now, and that's mainly because I'm scared. I am so terrified of having another C-section and having something go wrong, and then I'm dead, you know? Like, I'm not saying that there's women that had like 4, 5, 6, 7 C-sections and they all ended up fine. I don't think it's a risk that I want to take. At least I'm like the way that I'm thinking now, and keep in mind that I'm only a month and a half postpartum and I'm really traumatized. My first C-section was an emergency C-section, and they told me that I lost a lot of blood, and you know, it was very fast C-section, but I wasn't expecting it with my first pregnancy. I thought I was gonna do it naturally, epidural, you know, but still like give birth naturally, and that didn't happen. My second one was a repeat C-section because I was scared and my husband was scared, and we did not want to take the chance for a uterine rupture or anything like that. And then my third one, I was like, oh, we gotta do C-section. I still wanted to experience that a natural birth, but they didn't recommend it for me. I'm overweight, and this was my third C-section, and I didn't want to risk it, you know. So we opted for the C-section, and yes, it was scheduled, but it was so unexpected, all the things that happened in that C-section, that I'm just terrified at this point. We are not trying for another baby as of now. I have a birth control implanted in my arm. I got it done like a couple days ago. I did really want a girl. I mean, I do want a girl, but it's just too risky. Who knows, maybe in a couple years we may decide to get, you know, to have another baby, but for now that's not gonna happen. And that's pretty much where I'm at. Johnathan is waking up, so I think I'm gonna just end this video, but I just wanted to share my third C-section experience. And yeah, it's not, a repeat C-section is always risky, but people get it done. I don't think anybody should be scared of it. I think if you are scared, you should definitely speak with the doctor that's actually doing the procedure, and you know, just have faith, and you know, everything works out great. And the doctors that were with me were really nice, and they were able to deliver the baby healthy, and I'm totally fine right now. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm gonna go because the baby's crying, and if he cries, he wakes up my other two kids. So I am done with this video. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna do a 2-month, I'm gonna do an update with the baby. I don't know when, because things are really hectic right now, but I'm definitely gonna do one. So keep on, you know, keep the notifications on if you're interested in that. But yeah, I'll see you guys on my next video. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and, you know, comment, ask me any questions about the C-section. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.